Welcome back to the VMSA Network. My name is Jim Coughlin. I'm joined by Sunil Bagai, CEO of Crowd Staffing. Sunil, welcome.
Thank you, Jim. It's a pleasure to be here.
You just gave an amazing talk on the exponential growth of technology, business, everything in our world. How is Crowd Staffing responding, your company, to the exponential growth that we face today?
It's a good question, Jim. Crowd staffing is becoming an exponential organization by example. We seek to bring in the top talent in the organization for our own company, not just in one location, but anywhere that talent may reside. And we truly are trying to build a distributed company that's decentralized, that has very little hierarchy, but the right people in the organization to help us make massive changes, spawn innovation, and really be at the cutting edge of where not just technology, but staffing companies are today.
And how will you be helping companies adapt to this shift in that exponential growth?
It's a good question. And I think the biggest role we can play is by helping these organizations find the best talent possible, right? And we've created a model that is completely revolutionary in terms of how it works. We're not confined to a single core team that helps companies staff. We have a decentralized team, just like Uber has many drivers all over the world helping facilitate rides. We facilitate finding talent the same way through thousands of recruiters in our network. And that process allows us to go and find the best talent available anywhere possible for those organizations. If we do that well, then those organizations will be able to thrive and grow exponentially.
That's fascinating. I'm an older gentleman. You would call me a baby boomer, okay? And one of the things that I find challenging is adapting to change. I have to be honest. I have more apps on my phone I know what to do with. How are you culturally helping people adapt to this rapid change? What are some of the mechanisms that are in place to do that? Can you share us?
Change is never easy, right, Jim? I mean, you know this, I know this. Change, unfortunately, is the new norm. And the thing is, it's getting faster and more exponential. As I talked about just a little bit ago, technology is changing things so drastically. If you look at just a mobile device, it has the same processing power as supercomputers did in the 60s, right? That's crazy to imagine what you can do with just that one device. Now imagine all of them being networked, which is what's happened today, right? Through the internet and so on. That's what's driving this change. A person in Africa, in India, in China, all has access to the same mobile device. Well, guess what? You conduct business differently. You get educated differently. You basically look at ways you consume and participate in commerce differently. All of this drives change, and we must adapt. What I find is interesting is that the younger generation is adapting faster and better than our older generation, right? They're embracing it.
You're talking to me, older generation?
All of us.
You're talking
right?
to me.
I've also been around for at least 20 years so, in the industry. But yes, change is happening faster than ever. It's the ones that adapt faster are the ones that are going to be able to take advantage of this exponential curve that we're on right now.
Awesome. Hey, let's go back to something I know a bit about recruiting. What makes recruiters different in the crowd staffing model than in the traditional working a desk in San Francisco?
Sure, it's a good question. One of the things that we do and don't do actually is we don't employ our recruiters. Every one of them is an entrepreneur, right? Just like an Uber driver is an entrepreneur, right? In our case, the difference between Uber and what we do is when you join Uber, you're basically joining to get a supplemental income. In our model, these recruiters, many of them are global, and so if they're located in a place like India, the average salary may be $1,000 a month in that country, right? With a recruiter in our model joins us and basically is aiming to replace their income, not create a supplementary income. That's the big difference. Some of them are able to earn 5 to 10 times more than they normally earn. And in places like India or other countries like the Philippines or Ecuador where these recruiters reside, it's a king's ransom, right? It changes their lifestyle. They're able to have an impact on their community and send their kids to better places for an education. That's really the impact of crowd staffing at the recruiter level.
That's amazing. 4 to 5 times your income. Could you get me 4 to 5 times, an old dog like me? What, besides the increase in income, what other benefits would come for a recruiter working in this model?
Well, let's talk a little bit about recruiter, but also about the client. See,
Sure.
if you change the fundamental paradigm of how recruiters get compensated, it changes the intrinsic motivation of that individual. They're no longer doing it for themselves. I mean, they're no longer doing it for a company, they're doing it for themselves, right? That's the fundamental difference. And what happens is we find that for companies, they're finding better talent, they care more about the process, they care more about the results, which results in clients getting, you know, the right people for their organization. And that's really what we're here for, isn't it?
That's why I'm here. Hey, I have 2 more questions. One, what are the jobs of tomorrow going to be looking like with this new automation? I'm worried that I might get pushed out, that there might be just Siri here interviewing you, and then I'll be left without a job.
Well, if Siri were to interview me, Jim, it certainly wouldn't have as good a personality as you.
We can program that in, I think.
All right. Now, the thing is it going to happen? Yes. There's going to be a lot of automation, and there will be jobs that disappear. But what people don't realize is as automation comes in, as artificial intelligence, as robotics kicks in, it doesn't mean that all jobs go away. In fact, new jobs are created because you need new types of knowledge workers and expertise to handle these types of automation and technologies that come in. Also, what you're not seeing is that when the exponential changes are happening, don't just think of the technology world. Think about, hey, what's going to happen in health and gene research? There's going to be thousands of new jobs created there because of the exponential changes in technology. The same thing in transportation with automated cars and so on. So yes, jobs are going to go away, many of them, but many of them are going to transform and become new jobs. So I don't think we have to worry about, you know, there being a shortage of work for talent for 10, 20 years at least in the future.
10 or 20 years is long enough for me. I have one last question. You started your VIP talk with a quote from A Tale of Two Cities. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times, that we're in this conflicting crisis opportunity. And of course, that's Dickens. If you were going to have dinner with anybody, past, present, future, living or not, who would it be and why?
That's a good question. You know, lately I've been fascinated by a certain individual named Ray Kurzweil. And he is a fascinating person. He's currently heading up artificial intelligence at Google. But he's known for an interesting thing. He predicts the future. In fact, Bill Gates calls him the best person on the planet to reliably predict the future. 82% of his predictions have come true. What's fascinating is he's able to see technology trends not just in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, but in the next 20, 30, 40 years, and reliably kind of figure out the trajectory of where technology is going to understand the implications of where the world is going to be. I think it'd be very fascinating to have dinner with him and just spend some time understanding and seeing that crystal ball of where we're going to be down the road.
Sounds amazing. This has been great. Sunil, thank you for coming. And thank you for joining us on the VMSA network. We'll see you on the next segment. Bye now.